Okay, Moishe, so it's good for you. This is a good, even though we're reviewing the Maimer, but we're starting the review again now. So let's have a look at this page that I just sent you. Everybody has it? Yeah. Yimiyo, you got it? Yossi, you have it? Yossi's anonymous.
Yep, I have the book, Sefer.
Oh, you have the Sefer, even better. Okay, so base Pchin is b'makif shalamaylim b'ishtal shalos. There are two levels in makif, which makif, of course, means transcendent. It's a relative term, but what's common to all transcendence is it transcends structures of one level or another. So there's two levels of makif. Makif HaKorev, a makif that is near to, as it were, the system, but beyond it. And in general, that's P'chinas Arich. That's the level of Arich, Keser, Rotzen. Generally, that's the as the Maim explains, in Nefesh Adam, that is Rotzen. Rotzen is a transcendent power that can impose itself at will and manipulate all of the lower koiches. It can overwhelm their protests and experiences things on a level that the conscious faculties don't. And when it's expressed, it's a powerful gilui, and that is called makif hakorev, because it has a direct relationship on the lower faculties. And the nature of the relationship basically is it redirects, overrides if necessary. Nothing stands in the way of will. Physical limitations, intellectual limitations, emotional limitations, protests. That's what a person wants. He'll mow it all down and plow ahead. That's Arich. Then that's Makif HaYosher. So it's called Makif HaYosher because it has a direct, quite simply, a direct relationship on the system, the lower faculties, the Ishtalshlus within the person, which parallels the way it is in the Maila. Shinyona Gilui, and it works because it's revealed. The lower levels feel it and are overwhelmed by it. The example in the Maimer is Mazlayu Chozi, Daniel's Chaverim, right? Who are overcome with dread and don't know why, because there's a level in the nefesh that sees the malachim. They didn't. So that's all the makif hayosher v'yesh leishayches el hapnimi. And it has a connection to the pnimis dika, to the conscious faculties. Pnimi means conscious faculty, internalized, felt consciously. B'nefesh ha'odam p'chinas chaya. At what level is that in the nefesh? It's a level of chaya. So that's all matches up. Makif hakorev, arich, chaya, and there'll be other terms also in the Maimer. Mazel. Makif harochek, and then there's a higher level of makif, which is called the distant makif. Now, in general, as we pointed out, the lower makif, one of the physical analogies or incarnations of the lower makif are garments. Garments which a person wears, that they're outside of the body, but nonetheless tailored to the body. It's interesting to consider the effect of clothing on a person, very different clothing, and see the parallel to Rotzen. That requires some thought, but it's an interesting parallel. Clothes maketh the man, right? Isn't that a quote from, on the other hand, it's just clothing. And it's external, and a person can discard them and put on a different set. But on the other hand, they have a profound influence. So clothes, b'chlal, are machshava dibur ma'isa. That's fakert. Clothes usually are the metaphor for the most external expression of where the person interacts with the world outside of him, not a koich makif, but it's also a mashal for koich makif. So there's these two properties to it. Let's not go there because the Maimer didn't, and we won't speculate right now. Let's go further. Makif harochek p'chinas atik. Then there's makif harochek. I mentioned that because the other moshel, the moshel of makif harochek, or not a moshel, through the manifestation, a true mashal is that. A true mashal is not something else. A true mashal is the same truth, just manifested on the lower level. So that's something else that we cite to illustrate something else. At any rate, so the makif harochik is a home. So the home on Begashmis, the height of the ceiling, the height of the walls are not based on the height of the people. Let's measure the people and their weight and their height and then build a home accordingly. It's not measured by the inhabitants, by the pnimis. It's makif harochik, and that corresponds to atik. Atik, which is tainug or bound up to the etzem, I am, whereas makif harok, akorev expresses I will, I want. So that's makif harochik, and it's called makif hachoizer. It's called a makif, which choizer means rebounds. It comes back. It embraces, but embraces in such a way that it brings everything into its state. Unlike a rotzen, it overwhelms, overrides, influences. It influences in one way or another the lower faculties. The makif hachoizer doesn't influence. It's an atzmizdike thing. It causes the biggest change, practically speaking, but not from without, but from within. You take an object and you buy it in the store for your house. So in the store, it's an object in the store. It's a faucet. You put it into the house, it's not a faucet anymore. It's your home. It's integral to your home. Very integral to your home, because the kind of force that you bought and the place you put it, the color, that's the bias, that's you that expresses the people in the home. So maybe this is a moshel that the home is makif hachoizer, means it takes in the prat as part of it. It's inyan atzmi. This is the teichen about the tetzaveh, really. Not the tetzaveh, the whole point of the maamer is that the whole function of Moishe Rabbeinu is to connect every yid to his etzem and neshama, and that's higher than mazel. It's mamish parallels. He speaks of two levels of emunah. There's the emunah because I see godliness l'mayla. There's emunah because I'm a Jew. I am because I see. So he's talking about that's the makif harochik. That's Moishe Rabbeinu's inyan is to megala that level, that atzmizdika level. That should and when that's revealed, it pervades naturally every prat. It's not a struggle. Every detail of my expression is expression of I am a Jew. If I am a Jew, I'm a yid. I'm a neshama. Is fully expressed in its essential way. Then everything just naturally is I am expression of that. Like every detail in the home is a natural expression of the home. They're not competing elements, not different elements. It's bias. Yeah, that's somewhat clear. Yeah. The ein shayich el pnimius. It's an atzmizdike thing, and it's not defined by the pnimius, means by the details of the nefesh. It's etzem. As we always explain, Chassidus explains that the etzem is a paradox. The etzem, on the one hand, is not bound to a particular, but every particular is nothing other than the etzem. To say that the home is a faucet, it's nonsense. The home is a toilet, it's nonsense. But the toilet and the bathroom and the faucet, the bedroom and the couch and the place where she puts the vase down on the shelf. What is that? Why? This is home. It's nothing other than home. Nothing else than the home. That's the etzem. That's the paradox of etzem. The atom, again, the good example. It's not an example either. That's a manifestation of essence is the atom. Everything is made up of atoms, but the atom is not defined by anything. Atom of a gas, solid, liquid, whatever, it's the same atom. And yet, every manifestation is nothing other than the atom. So now it goes on to say, let's continue the summary. Or the teichen.
Is it a project with nefesh, or would it be that parallel? If I see the prat, it's not different from that.
The pratim and nefesh are different faculties. The seichel and midas, and
That would be like all the parts.
that's the manifestations. And they're different worlds. Gas, solid, liquid. They're at odds even. Seichel pulls one way, midas pulls another way, chesed this way, kavod that way. In the world of manifestation, in the world of pratim, without the etzem, it's a whole lot of detail, and it's a lot of juggling to do. It's exhausting. But if a person's a state of I am, doesn't wear different hats. You're not exhausted. Now he's a father. Now he's in business, and now he has to learn, and then he has to daven. That's exhausting if he's in that world of the pratim. Now, if he's in the world of the rotzen he wants, it's a little easier. So I want to be a chassid, I want to be a father. Okay, so there's a unifying. But the deepest is I am. He speaks the whole mind with that. That's the menucha be'etzem. It's the high level of Shabbos. I'm a yid. That's it. A yid manifests this, and a yid manifests that way, and he manifests that way. Here he cries, and here he dances, and here he changes a diaper, and here he gets into davens b'avoda. He's somebody else. There's the same yid, and there's a deep serenity in that. If a person's connected to his atzmis dikin, to his etzem, that's the makif hakorev, that's harochik, then there's this menucha be'etzem. So the chassid is on the one hand a very agitated person, a very tranquil person. Agitated in the sense it's constantly doing it. It's never. There's always avodah to be done. There's no time. I told you it's one of my favorite. Veritas are shared again that the Kotzka said he doesn't want chassidim who don't sin, because they're too holy. He does not want. Stay away from me. That's why you don't sin. Don't sin because you don't have time to sin. So that one hand, that's that the chassid is driven. The other hand is a deep serenity. It's a deep serenity. He's not torn apart with his all different things he has to do, and not drained and not exhausted. Although he needs to rest, obviously the body needs to get its rest, but there's a deep serenity, there's a calmness in his eyes, etc. Because it's all one the code. Enyam Lavada, he's a shliach, rosh lichem of the Eibishter, and it's all you. This is all your desire, and deep in that, it's all you. That is the inyan. That's the tainug atzmi, or the menucha atzmi. So let's continue in the summary, second paragraph. It'd be nice if you met such chassidim. There are plenty, not enough. Certainly were, but there are as well. Of course, the Rebbe himself is the most powerful expression of that. Which is why it's endlessly fascinating. The Rebbe is endlessly fascinating on many levels, but really it's because of this tension. So if something is just something, after a while you got it. It gets boring to keep on looking. The Rebbe is constantly, just naturally looking, get a glimpse. What are you looking? You're not seeing anything you didn't see a second before. The Rebbe is coming, going. There's almost no drama at all. They're predictable, virtually. Certainly, like things walking into shul, sitting by Fabrenge. Most of it's extremely predictable, but it's endlessly fascinating because what we're drawn to is this. The fascination is this tension, which is fused together so seamlessly and so divinely of this tension of the urgency and the calm, the avodah, they're not making peace with the world. It's a stronger word. On so many levels, the protest, the urgency to change it, the milchama. At the same time, the deep serenity, atzmisdika serenity. At the same time, in all of it, it's fascinating. The mind is constantly in the eye, but because it can't be grasped, it's so elusive. so deep and resonates so deeply also, something that we really are and desire and want. So it draws us like deeply into a personal level. So continuing the next paragraph. So the difference between the two, the makifa kodev and the makifa rochek, in the way they express themselves. When the makifa kodev, which the parallel is rotzen, is experienced by the lower faculties, it's only a ray of it. The seichel cannot experience the rotzen. It's a different world. The rotzen overwhelms it. It's only a nikah, it's a little nourishment. Ha'orah belvad. So the rotzen overpowers, but what's experienced by the lower faculties is only a ha'orah of the rotzen, not the rotzen itself. Because not etzem, it's a giloi. That's the nature of giloi. The nature of a revelation of something is that the recipient can't experience the thing itself. It's only as much as it reveals. And if it's far beyond it, that we can experience only a ha'orah. So the paradox of makif, we're calling it the distant makif. So you have no shaykhs to the pnimi, but when that is accessed, it's b'chol atzmosei. Then the pnimi, the prat, recognizes that all he is the etzem. The whole etzem is present. Is that clear? Yeah. So this is the pasuk referring to Yitzias Mitzrayim Matan Torah. Kel doidi, the voice of my beloved. He explained there's two levels of voice: with a vav, without a vav. A kel Yaakov's. So this voice over here is bechinas kola de lo yishtama. This is the voice that is not heard, not manifested. It's a silent voice, like tkiyah shofar, kola de lo posik, and a voice that never ends. It's never requited. This calling isn't requited. This is referring to Matan Torah, the kel godel. It didn't end. Doesn't have an end. And what's that? That's showing it. I'm shachas. Etzem shalmayim megeder giloi. The lo yishtam, but this is the essence. Present in the deepest way, but not limited to its particular expression. So, but in the giloi etzem, there are two stages. There's two ways. So, but from kloli to makiv, it's etzem. But there's two stages. The first one is skipping over the mountains. That skipping is beregel achas, 1 foot, still grounded. Point of 1 foot means basically every point is still grounded. So it's transcendent, but it's limited. In fact, the transcendent is measured by its transcendence from the structure. It's a rotzen that's connected to the keiches pnimim. Although it's far beyond, it's relatively boundless compared to the keiches pnimim. That's makiv hakodev. That's the yenika. So that's the yenika. What's revealed of the rotzen ha'orah. And there's makapet alak voice. That's the yosher, the giloi, and it's a small giloi in terms of what the makabel feels. The kapet alak voice, b'shtei reglayim. So but then the pasuk goes on to say he jumps. That's 2 feet. The whole body's lifted. That's makiv harochek. That's amshachas b'chol atzmosei. That's Matan Torah. Clear? That's the etzem. Yes? We're getting the, yeah? Folks, little nod ahead, heads up. Yeah? If not, tell me. We're trying to explain it better. If you didn't understand it, because I'm not explaining it properly. So v'sherish in yonim elo. So the source of these two things are this makif hakodev, makif harochek, is Binyan HaShabbos. As we said before, menucha shachli avodah. There's a lower level of menucha. This is the Friday night inyan. Malid Shabbat. That's a menucha that is measured by the avodah. Finished working, job well done. Kom lachta chasuy, and he believes that it's all really complete. A Yid on Shabbos is a kriyach, not to worry about panos. That's easily said, I know. But that's the inyan, and you can have a true menucha that the job is well done, complete, nothing more to be done. So that's one level of menucha. That's a menucha that becomes as a result of the yigiyah. The more yigiyah, the greater the menucha. So that's makif hayosha. That's the makif that's a direct relationship with the yigiyah, the avodah, the pratim. And then there's menucha be'etzem, makif hachoyze. That's the higher level of Shabbos. And he pointed out that in all the levels of Shabbos you have both. In tefillah on the one hand is melamata lamayla, it's a person's ascent, the yigiyah. Now there's also, he says that the tainuk poshet. And in eating in the food, on the one hand, it's a tainuk that's acquired by eating the food. On the other hand, there's also, I don't know if he explained it there, but it's also the inyan of the tainuk poshet. I'm not sure how we see it in the inyan of achila, but certainly inyan of tefillah. Anyway, but that part of the mind was still a little bit hazy. Anyway, let's continue. Maybe when we look at inside, we'll get clarity, more clarity. So these two levels of Shabbos, these two levels of Makif, this is the difference between Yetzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah. Both are this kola pnimah de lo ishtama, the inner voice that's not heard, true. Both are Makif, true. Both are bound up with etzem beifun kloli in the most general sense. However, both are Shabbos. There's two levels. Shabbos, he pointed out that Yetzias Mitzrayim is called, Pesach is called Shabbos, and Matan Torah is called Shabbos, and Tzfiras Ha'imber is connected with Shabbos. It's all connected to Shabbos. But there is Shabbos and there's Mimachras of Shabbos. Shabbos Stam is the low level of Tainuk. Mimachras of Shabbos, the morrow of Shabbos is a hint to the Tainuk Atzmi. So the Gila Yetzias Mitzrayim b'chines medalig makef hayosha. Yetzias Mitzrayim, the beginning of this whole process of this Giloi, is the makef hayosha. That's the skipping where one foot remains grounded. Kikar in Yonah Kedek, because why? It's not a real Tainuk there. The Tainuk that, what's the Tainuk? The Tainuk is the defeat of Mitzrayim. So that's an agenda-laden Tainuk. That's a Tainuk that comes as a result of Yigiyah. The main thing then was to crush Mitzrayim. And all the pratim over there, why you need a makif and not enough a malach. The contrast to Sancheref, we'll see it, we look at the Maimon again. So Menucha Shachar Yaved Yagiyah, they've added his footnote, his notes there. So this is a Menucha that comes after Yagiyah. And then the Gila Matan Torah B'chines Mekapetz Makif HaChayzer. Matan Torah is an Atzmos Dike Tainug, not crushing Mitzrayim. The Gili of Atzmos, in the face of which there is nothing else, and all is embraced in that truth, and that is Mekapetz Makif HaChayzer. The whole etzem is lifted, both feet, as it were, lifted. He asked if you remember, but Torah also has this agenda of the Havdol ben Atami v'Atahir. It's also to conquer the world. He says, no, it's not to conquer the world, it's to elevate the world. And then he adds even more, it's not even to elevate the world. The tachlis of Torah is what? Neshamas Yisrael. The relationship with Eden. That's the tachlis. And that's the real tainuk. The Rebbe's Chiddush over and over again. Hagila de Matan Torah. So the Gila Matan Torah, going back to the beginning of the pasuk, Vahehi Etzlo Amon. And I, Torah speaking, is by him, Etzlo. Shashoyim lefanov, Shashoyim is tainug. So the Chiddush is that Yeshna behelem gam b'tzias mitzam b'svirasam. Even as we're engaged even in that menucha that comes after defeating the enemy, and even in the avodah svirasam, which is the avodah bidur amidus, which we said before that's the engagement in the milchama. The pnimius is a tainug atzmi, because since it's all part of an achana to Matan Torah, already there, as he's engaged in the battle, there's a serenity. And in the tainug that he has, it's not so much the tainug of having defeated the enemy, but that's a preparatory stage. The real tainug is that there is no enemy. And that it's only likus and everything, the whole world is a dira la yizbarach. He has that even in all the stages of reaching it. In order, however, that the whole thing should be begoloi, there's the stages. Before we get to Matan Torah, there's the achana, the two inyanim of Yitzias Mitzrayim, and then the Gilam Ante. But even before, already in essence, it's there. It just emerges in a completely transparent way in that moment of Anochi Avayalikecha. Okay, so that was the overview. That helped, no? Tie it all together. Yeah, Moishe, you get something from all this. Even overview, actually, it's easier without going to the problems. Let's go back to the Maimer. And so where are we up to now? Actual Chazorah. And actual Chazorah, we're up to where is base in our Chazorah. So let's hit number 6 there, please. Somebody. Thank you. So look. Let's again look at it. So Matan Torah is not oir, but the etzem or the etzem or oir. But actually, then he says immediately, Atzmos Anochi Misha Anochi. So he says, in order for this to be revealed, so there has to be a whole process of Seder and Hadraga. And he addresses that because it's an important question and answer. On page Kuf Tzadik Vav, I don't know what if you have a different, the first paragraph of his base. He has to, without spelling it out, but this is the question and answer he's asking. He says, Matan Torah is a Gilui of Atzmos. It's a Gilui of Atzmos. How is the Shaykh there should be Achana in the preparation for Atzmos? There's no Keli, there's no Achana. First step, second step. Atzmos, beyond all limit, Leistamas Leibishim, Must Leibishim Kotz can't be conveyed in even the most profound nuance. Not a letter, not a stroke of a letter. And the answer is no, they say the Vadraga. Even the etzem ha'oir, they say the Vadraga. So I think we addressed this, we learned this. Why? Because since the desire, Kavanas Atzmos is Nis'ava, the Vadir B'tachtoinim, is what the Eibush, the Atzmos, the Eibush himself has chosen, the desire. So that this Tachtoinim means levels and lower to the lowest level. So integral to the union of levels and Seder, Mamish starts in Atzmos, in the Kavanas Atzmos. Because that's what he wants. So it's already there. It's already the process begins of Seder and Achana and levels and a whole history that's going to follow for 5,781 years. Seder, time, and all why? How is it possible it should be an Atzmos? Without saying that. And because Atzmos is Boicher, so it's all there. So within him, at the highest levels, within him is already this compromise, if you want to call it, of levels and Seder, because that's what he wants. He wants to be compromised, as it were, and then we, through Avodah, should reveal within the compromise, it's all him. So continuing now, so this is the Inyan of Kel Doidi. This is where he starts the Kel Doidi. Second paragraph of Ois Beis. So Medalag Alorim Mekabatal Agvoy. So this is the Kel which is not heard. Right, the two Kels are Kel Yaakov. So with the Vav, it comes out that the higher one is without the Vav. With the Vav is Amshacha. So the first one, curl, is the lower level. And then the curl without a Vav, not drawn down, is the silent cry. And he says in detail, the color, the voice that's heard, that's drawn from Seichel or Midas. And this has an end, this has a beginning and an end. Because the origin is Seichel and Midas, which are finite. At some point, the goal is achieved. But however, the color, the lo yishtama, this is a voice, a call that's rooted, hide in Seichel. And this is, he says, the cry from the heart, which is high of the Yid, hide in Tam V'das, and from the Eibishter, it's his cry to us, the Etzlo, which is L'mayla Megillah. And this is the Kerl Matan Torah, Kerl Godol V'lo Yosef, a great, the paradox. It calls it a great sound and never ends, and we don't hear it. We don't hear it. It's calling out. It's so deep. It's not outside of us. The point is, it has to resonate in the end within us, from our own Etzem Neshama. Furthermore, that's why Torah is Torah, which is a consequence of this koil. There's no change, and it's forever. So now, however, in this curl itself, there's these two levels of Medalik and Mekapetz. All right, so that we're in the middle of Eis Beis, which will continue tomorrow.